What's up, everybody? On today's Unbiased Hard Take. Sorry for the lack of coverage of the last week. Been a crazy week. Had to get some things wrapped up, but we are here, and I have a loaded, massive episode for you guys today. So we're going to start in the world of the NBA, and we're going to talk about and predict Western Conference, Eastern Conference Finals, who wins, and in how many games, and why. We're going to talk about also NFL a little bit. We're going to talk about Packers schedule, rule changes. The committee today did not ban tush push, and the Lions' proposal to change playoff seeding was also did not come to pass. So we're going to talk about all of that today. And again, we're going to start in the world of the NBA, where last night the Minnesota Timberwolves got crushed by the OKC Thunder, 114-88. And really, this was a good game at halftime. This was a very close game. I mean, within 5 points most of the first half, and that second half happened. In Oklahoma City, this seems like they ran down Minnesota. Minnesota would turn the ball over. They had 17 turnovers. They lost a turnover battle, which you cannot do in the playoffs, especially when you don't have home court advantage and you're going to Oklahoma City. And I personally think Oklahoma City is the loudest fan base in the NBA. The Garden's loud. I understand that. MSG is popping, but I think Oklahoma City's fan base is louder. I mean, Trae Young, I believe, is the one that said that as well on his social media. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm not a big X guy. But on this series, I mean, last night, yeah, the Thunder did crush them, but I do think Minnesota will bounce back at some point in the series. This will be a very good series. Like I said, this was a good game till halftime, and it's not going to be every game. Minnesota only has two players scored 10 points or more, and that was Julius Randle, who had a great game at 28 and 8, shot great. He was really the reason that they stayed in this game in that first half. But Ant's got to be better. You didn't get enough from Ant-Man. I mean, 18 and 9, but 5 for 13 from the field. That's not a good percentage, and only taking 13 shots. And only two players. These are the only two players that had double digits. So Randle and Ant are the only two players that had double-digit points, and Ant only shot 13 shots and made 5. And no wonder you scored 88 points and lost. They don't have a lot of offense in Minnesota beyond Ant and Randle, and I do think that will ultimately hurt them in this series in the long run. So I actually think that what I seen last night in Oklahoma City, they are the absolute best team in this league. I'm going to say OKC in 6 in this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 5. Because SGA couldn't be stopped yesterday getting the line. I mean, and let's just be honest, they just blew it. Minnesota did in the second half. I mean, like I said, close game in the first half, but ultimately OKC wore them down. That's going to happen throughout this series, I think. And let's not forget, Ant did leave that game with a little bit of injury. He did return. So I'm going to give Minnesota credit. They're here. They deserve to be. Ant's great. Randle's great. But I think it's going to be just too much for this Oklahoma City team, who had the best record, not just in the West, but in the NBA this year. So this is a young team. I said last year they were not ready, but I expected them to be ready this year. And Oklahoma City looks like they're ready to go to the finals. And SGA today won MVP. You can see that on our Facebook page. We announced that. Link to that in the description down below. But I think Oklahoma City wins this series in 6, but wouldn't be surprised if it was in 5. I think the better series is going to be out east. And speaking of out east, we have the world of the Pacers at the Knicks. Knicks have home court advantage here, and that tips off in about 59 minutes as of me talking right now. So that series hasn't started yet. And I actually want the Pacers to win this, but go back to our video where we made NBA predictions, who would win the championship. I said the Knicks, excuse me, battling a little bit of a cold, so excuse me on that. But the Knicks would win the NBA Finals. People thought I was a little crazy that Brunson wasn't just enough, that they needed a second star. Well, they have a second star now with Karl Anthony Towns. And Brunson is just a dog. And I trust Brunson in this playoffs more than I trust Halliburton. And that's not a hate on Halliburton. I see more people thought he was the most overrated player in the NBA, and he is really shoved it to his haters. 2 years in a row in the conference finals, has the Pacers on the brink of the NBA Finals, and can possibly capturing a championship for the first time in that franchise's history. And Indiana has a great basketball pride. So, I mean, very impressive on what the Pacers have been able to do. I'm not discrediting them. I think they could very well win this series, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did win this series. But I predicted the Knicks would win the NBA Finals back before the regular season even began, going back to last year, 2024, when we were making our predictions. And I said the Knicks will win the NBA Finals. They are still in it. So I'm going to say Knicks in 7 here. Again, they have home court advantage. And with having home court advantage, that Game 7 really going to matter. Home court. And again, like I said, I trust Brunson more than I trust Halliburton. And I say that because Brunson's worst game in the playoffs so far is 16 points, guys. So let's look at what Halliburton's done. He had that 31 to close out Cleveland. That was great, but 11 points, 4 points, 19 points. And then the Milwaukee series, 10 points, 14 points, 17 points. So multiple games under 20 points. In one game with 4 points, 2 for 8 from the field. He's a little more inconsistent than Brunson is, and you can't not be inconsistent at this stage of the playoffs. So I think ultimately that will bite Indiana a couple of games. I think Halliburton will be great in certain games, and he might flutter in others. He's a bit inconsistent, in my opinion. So I'm going to say that the Knicks win this series in 7 based on Halliburton's inconsistencies and how much of a dog Jalen Brunson is. And the Knicks have a great supporting cast. Karl-Anthony Towns has been an all-star in the league. You have Josh Hart, who's a baller. You have OG. So they have players, good role-playing, and a great coach in Tom Thibodeau. So I think the Knicks are just a better team here. And again, I hope the Pacers win. I want to see a small market NBA championship. I really do. I would love to see. The Heat are out, so I might as well root for the small markets. And that's how I look at things because, I don't know, the NBA draft lottery is 100% rigged. And how they do small markets in the NBA is just, it's sad. And it makes half the league unwatchable because giving Dallas the number 1 pick, giving Dallas, let's just admit it, it's rigged. It's rigged. LeBron even said it's rigged. The stats, you can go back to our Sports Fact Todays, they are just not there that you can have this many underdog teams win the lottery. It's not mathematically possible. So them doing that makes small market teams sort of irrelevant, and that's why half the league's unwatchable. Washington's always unwatchable. You have Toronto's unwatchable. Utah's unwatchable. The Wizards, the Hornets, all these teams that are garbage, and they'll stay garbage because they should do what the NFL does. Worst team gets the first pick. NBA champion gets the last pick. Boom. It's worked for the NFL for years. But that's, like I said, a different topic for a different day. So again, I have the Knicks going to the finals versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we will see if that comes to pass. But we have more NFL news to talk about because speaking of a little bit of NFL, I kind of into that pretty well there. The NFL today did announce a couple of things, and the tush push did not get passed. I believe that vote was 22-10, and the Packers are the ones who proposed that. And a lot of Packer fans I've seen on the internet were upset because the tush push wasn't banned. Like I said on Facebook, leave the game alone, man. I'm tired of them changing the game and making it a powder puff. The kickoff's already stupid. You can't hit the quarterback. Defensive players can hardly hit anymore. When was the last time you've seen a Ray Lewis type hit? You haven't in years. It's made defensive players not sexy. Troy Polamalu was a very popular player in the media. Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, you had Lance Briggs, you had all these players on defense that were popular and had revenue coming in, and defense just isn't what it used to be anymore because it's going to a flag league. I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL is a full flag league in 20 years. I really wouldn't be. They're already allowing them to play in the Flag Olympics. The Pro Bowl's already flag. Might as well, right? You can't tackle hardly anymore anyway. You hit a quarterback at all, especially Mahomes, or really any quarterback at all. You try to hit him at all, and they're going to call you a 15-yard penalty, and they're going to try to arrest you. That's how it is anymore. It's gotten a lot softer, and I don't understand how you have more injuries, it seems like. More guys get injured now. Your injuries are not, but you still want to add an extra game in the regular season, but you care about player safety. Leave the game alone. I'm glad tush push didn't get banned. Defenses need to learn to stop it. But I also do think the NFL, because I believe they banned to where the defense can do the same thing, essentially. And I think they ought to make it legal for everybody. It's freaking football. If you don't want to make millions of dollars and put your body on the line, then go work a construction job, go work a teacher job, go to college, go work in a foundry, go work somewhere normal. Go get a normal job if you don't like being tackled and you don't like. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's football. You're going to get hurt. That's why you make millions of dollars. There's demand for it. Leave the game alone. Learn how to stop the tush push. Stop being so soft. The NFL did announce also that the onside kick is now allowed at any point if you're losing in the game, not just the fourth quarter. And that was kind of a thing in the Super Bowl this past year when the Chiefs, I believe, scored with very little time left in the third quarter and could have onside kicked it had it been the fourth quarter, but they couldn't have because it was only the third. Because before that, you could only kick off onside kick if you were trailing and in the fourth quarter. Now you can do it whenever, as long as you're trailing. So that's whatever. I mean, the surprise was ultimately the best element of the onside kick. Saints-Colts Super Bowl is a prime classic example of that. One of the best plays in Super Bowl history. So, I mean, they've already ruined the onside kick anyway. So that's really more relevant to me. And the Lions' proposal didn't even get voted on. I think it was retracted to where they were going to change playoff seedings. And thank God. Because you were going to make rivalries and divisions meaningless. The NBA did that. And did you know this? Well, I bet you a lot of fans in the NBA don't even know that the NBA has divisions. But divisions don't matter at all. They don't really guarantee you playoff spots. You don't talk about anyone winning their division in basketball, and it's killed rivalries. Why do you think NBA ratings are down? But Adam Silver, our social media input is up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. People want to see rivalries, competition, and the NFL could have really screwed that one up. And I'm really glad they didn't, because there's a lot of great rivalries in every division. Packers-Bears, Packers-Vikings, Steelers-Ravens, Chiefs-Raiders. You have all sorts of great rivalries across the board. I mean, it can go on and on. Eagles-Cowboys, Commanders/Redskins. I mean, like I said, you can go on that. So thank goodness they did not do that, because you come into the season knowing we have to be better than these three teams. We play them twice a year, one at each location. If you can't do that, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. I don't care. I don't care how good or bad your division is. And there's still going to be wild card teams. There's an extra wild card spot from what there used to be. So people, they don't need to water down the playoffs. The NBA playoffs is watered down. It's way watered down. It's not as competitive, as interesting as it used to be. Winning your division used to matter. And I miss when it did. And a lot of fans anymore probably didn't even, like I said, know that divisions in basketball exist. Because, again, it's irrelevant. Winning them doesn't mean anything. And no one talks about them anymore. And that would have killed the NFL. So I'm very, very thankful that did not happen. So the football gods, like I posted on Facebook, again, you can check that out in our link description down below. Please go like, subscribe on YouTube also. But like I said on Facebook, leave the game alone. I don't want to see any more changes. The NFL and football is fine the way it is. Do not fix what is not broken. That's all I'm saying. But speaking of more football, now I'm going to go down the line here and predict the Packers 2025-2026 schedule. The Packers do have a Week 5 bye, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, and I've seen like a lot of people like Tom Grassi's not a fan of it. I understand that because it is early in the season. Injuries are going to happen later in the season. Especially if you have them past Week 5. You're not going to have that extra week of rest. But the Packers do have some primetime games, so that can kind of make up for that early bye week. And mind you, the Eagles won the Super Bowl with a Week 5 bye week last year. So let's not act like it's this disastrous thing. People are going to overreact. There's nothing to talk about in the football world. So people want to scrutinize everything. So starting, Green Bay gets a home freaking opener for the first time under Matt LaFleur. Holy crap, the last time we had a home opener, which is unacceptable, Mike McCarthy was the coach. So Green Bay hosts Detroit as the home opener Week 1, and I think ultimately the best case scenario with Detroit is we're going to split against them. They are a really good team, and they didn't have a pass rush once Hutchinson got injured last year, so we'll see how he is Week 1. But I think at best, Green Bay-Detroit split here, and I think Green Bay wins this game and will lose the second Detroit game because it's going to be early in the season. They're going to be a little bit of rust. These teams, they won't have identities yet. They won't have figured things out. I think that'll give Green Bay the advantage. So I think Green Bay wins the early matchup at Lambeau. And again, a home opener will be fired up. The crowd will be rocking. Lambeau, the best field in the NFL. So best home field advantage in the NFL, in my opinion. So I think Green Bay gets the win there. And then a Washington Commanders at Green Bay. Washington was a shock of the NFL last year, and they're going to be even scarier this year with Deebo Samuel and Scary Terry. So I think Green Bay gets the loss here, coming off a short week. Again, this is at Lambeau, unfortunately, on Thursday Night Football, first of the year. So I think it will ultimately be a loss. The Packers do have a rougher schedule this season, but I think that's a loss. And because, again, Jayden Daniels was a beast. He's only going to get better with time. Dan Quinn, that defense, I think that's only going to get better also. So, yeah, I think Green Bay loses week 2. And then week 3 is a good rebound week. Green Bay at Cleveland, our first away game here. So I think, again, Cleveland has no idea the quarterback. They have 5 quarterbacks. Like, obviously, Watson won't be ready at this point. But who's it going to be? Is it going to be Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders? Are we going to have Joe Flacco out there? I mean, Kenny Pickett? Who's the quarterback? Here's the old saying. If you think you have more than one quarterback, the reality is you probably have 0. And Cleveland's going to be a mess. They still have good players, on their roster. Myles Garrett's back. They have good defensive pieces. But I think ultimately Green Bay and Jordan Love is just going to be able to score too many points for that Browns offense. I worry about their quarterback situation. So give me a win here. And then Green Bay travels to Dallas, and this will be a win because Green Bay always seems to win in Dallas. Between playoffs a couple years ago to regular season to playoffs with Aaron Rodgers to where that's literally where we won our Super Bowl and Super Bowl 45 against Pittsburgh was Dallas' stadium. So whenever we're in Dallas, and the Mason crossbar kick, as Skip Bayless used to say, so the Packers can just go on and how many times we beat Dallas in Dallas. The Matt Flynn game many years ago. So Green Bay will win this game. Dallas is going to do what Dallas does. I don't trust Dak Prescott. When has Dallas ever beaten Green Bay? So give me Green Bay here. And then we have, of course, Cincinnati at Green Bay. And I'm not optimistic about this game here at all because Cincinnati's offense is explosive. And is Jair Alexander going to be on the roster? If he is on the roster, will he be healthy? And ultimately, I don't know if our secondary room is good enough to really match up against T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase, who's the best quarterback wide receivers trifecta in the NFL, and it's not even close. Don't let anyone ever tell you it's anyone else, because it's not. So I don't know if Green Bay will be able to. I think it's going to be a shootout, and Green Bay's not known for defense. Yes, Jay Hayfley has improved that defense and impressed me a lot, but I don't know if it'll be enough to beat Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's going to rebound from last season, the last couple of years, really, with a 9-8, I believe 9-8 record the last 2 seasons and missing the playoffs. So, yeah, give me a loss there for Green Bay. Then Green Bay at Arizona. I think this is a win here. They have some good pieces on defense. Their defense is a little underrated, but I think their offense, Marvin Harrison Jr., really needs to step up. They have some good running backs, but Kyler Murray doesn't seem to want to take that next step in his progression. I think we've seen what he is. So I think this is a win for Green Bay. Green Bay's just a better team than Arizona, I think. And then Green Bay at Pittsburgh, me and JB are going to love to keep track of this one throughout the season as that time comes on. And we're going to be giving each other a hard time on this podcast. You already know. But I think Green Bay gets the win here. And JB's going to disagree, but let me tell you why, JB. I'm concerned. Pittsburgh's lost their leading passer from last year, their leading rusher, leading receiver from last year. When that happens, you typically don't have a good next season. So who's going to be the quarterback for Pittsburgh? Your 6th-round quarterback, Will Howard? Mason Rudolph? Against Green Bay? No Najee Harris? George Pickens is gone? Like JB said, I don't know what they're doing. I think it's going to be a rough year for Pittsburgh. This might be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. I don't know what Pittsburgh's doing. I think Green Bay gets the win here. I don't really think it'll be close. Unfortunately, JB, I'm just worried about what Pittsburgh's doing, even if it is Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, because he did so great with the Jets and won so many games. So, yeah, I think Green Bay wins this game. And I hope it is Aaron Rodgers there, because that'd be a lot of fun, just to see Aaron Rodgers against Green Bay. So, then we have Carolina at Green Bay, and I'm taking Green Bay here. Carolina might shock some people this year. They got Bryce Young, some weapons. I thought they reached for a receiver in the first round a little bit. But I think Green Bay ultimately is just the better team than Carolina is. So give me Green Bay here. And then Philadelphia at Green Bay, that's a loss. Philadelphia is probably still the most talented roster on paper, defending champions. There's no reason to pick Green Bay here. I'm not going to be biased. We are the unbiased hard take for a reason. So give me Green Bay to lose this game to Philly. Then Green Bay at the New York Football Giants, if you want to call them that, because, again, who's going to be their quarterback? Lame duck head coach and GM right now. I think Green Bay is the better team right now. Even if they have Russ or Jameis out there or the rookie quarterback they drafted, I don't know if it'll be enough. So I think Green Bay gets the win against the Giants there. And then Minnesota at Green Bay, I think Green Bay will actually lose this game. I think Green Bay and Minnesota will split. But I don't think Green Bay wins every division game at home. That would be ridiculous to think. That typically doesn't happen. And Green Bay did struggle in the division a little bit last year. We're going to have to be better in the division. We almost lost. We were a block kick away from losing every game in the division. And we were still a playoff team. That's concerning and somehow impressive at the same time. So we're going to be better in the division this year. So I think we get the loss on this one. and also Green Bay at Detroit. I think we lose that game. I think being at Detroit, they'll have the identity at this point. I think, like I said, Green Bay and Detroit split, and I had Green Bay winning week 1. So this is a loss here. So this is a 2-game losing streak here for Green Bay. But then you got Chicago at Green Bay. That's ownership week right there. That's an automatic win. That's Caleb Williams and the dysfunctional Bears team who's never had a 4,000-yard passer. They're the offseason champions. They were 2 years ago. Justin Fields was going to take control of the North. And now they're the offseason champions again. They drafted Caleb Williams and Nick Wright. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. Did he make the playoffs? It's the Bears. They're the offseason champions again. They always will be, always have been. And then they'll be losing when the season happens. That's what the Bears do. So ownership week, they beat us one time. That's the one time every 10 years they beat us pretty much. So give me an easy win there for Green Bay. Then Green Bay at Denver. I think Denver takes a step back. I wasn't a big fan of their draft. And I think Bo Nix may regress a little bit. Teams will have film on them, things of that nature. So I think, and they're in a tough division, Denver is. So I think Denver takes a step back here. So I think Denver, by this point in the season, won't have a lot to play for. Again, I think they'll win 7-8 games, but will not be in it. But so I think Green Bay gets the win here. And again, Green Bay at Chicago, again, ownership week. We just talked about all that. So again, they beat us last year one time in a meaningless last of the end of the season game when we were already in the playoffs and we didn't even play Jordan Love anyway for safety issues. So, I mean, they can take their little participation win against us one every 10 years. So we'll win this game too. Fuck the Bears. There you go. That's my one curse word I'm allowed. I hate the Bears. Worst organization in sports. It's disgusting. Then Baltimore at Green Bay. I'm going to take Baltimore to win this game. I mean, Lamar Jackson's great in the regular season. He's just garbage in the playoffs. So it's regular season here, so Baltimore will do great. So I think Green Bay loses this game against Baltimore. Lamar Jackson's probably the best regular season quarterback in the NFL. But when it comes to playoffs, he just ain't it. And that's the honest to God's truth. You can change that narrative, though. I've said that before. You can change a narrative. But he's essentially Dan Marino with legs. Can't win a title. Wouldn't count on him in the playoffs. Good stats, though. That matters, I guess. But then Green Bay at Minnesota, and again, I think they'll split this. So I think Green Bay gets the win here against Minnesota in a close game to end the season off. Again, splitting with Minnesota, winning at Minnesota, and then losing at Green Bay. So that would make it the Packers 11-6, and I think they will make the playoffs. They'll be competing for the division. I think they're more of a wild card team, though. I think Detroit's still the best team in this division. Again, that's why I have Green Bay winning that Week 1 game. Identities will not be matched yet in Week 1. So again, I have Green Bay probably as a wild card slot here at 11-6, as probably the, looking at, I'd say 5 or 6 seed. So what do you think of my Green Bay Packer prediction and everything we talked about today again? I appreciate y'all. Sorry for the lack of content the last week. It's been crazy. NBA playoffs are really heating up. We're getting close to the finals here, and I'm excited. So again, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. That's all I got. Like, subscribe, follow on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, all that good stuff. We really appreciate the support of you guys. Again, that's all I got. Until next time, go Pack, go. Let's go Heat. Hey, Bowler up, baby. We'll see you sooner than you may think.